Hi, welcome. Happy Sunday. It's 90 Day Fiance Sunday. I think the Oscars was also on, so there was some competition. But y'all know me. I still watch 90 Day Fiance. I hope you guys did too. We're going to get into this episode 3, season 11, 11 years of 90 Day, guys. Hey, Gina. Hey, Shelly. Kara's going to come in here. We're going to discuss this episode, break it down, get to the craziness. Hey, Jal, Shake, the Diva Speaks is here. Cara just texted me and said she was here, but I don't see her. So, wait, there she is. There she is. Last week, so I'm one, getting over the longest hangover, and 2, trying to get back on East Coast time. So I was on West Coast time for a while.
Hi.
Well, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I've been tired ever since I got back because my time zones were all screwed up, and then I had a layover. So I was in 3 different time zones on the way home.
Oh, that's terrible.
So yeah, but I'm doing better. I slept a long time today though, so yeah. I'm hoping this will be the last day I'm extra tired. So episode 3. How are we feeling? So there's a lot of things I want to get into tonight. I know you're gonna have notes because I know that there are things that you would have also taken notice to, because we learned more about Annie, and I don't know, let's just start there. So we learned more about Annie. We found out that they met her in Mexico. Thank you, Jal. I'm glad to be back. I missed 90 Day Fiance Fridays, though. I was stuck in Texas. So I was in Texas while they were on the air last week. So I'll be there tonight, though. But Annie is a stripper that Matt and Amani met that they're trying to marry. So I have questions, right? Because also, how did you feel about Annie or Amani and Matt featuring their kids on the show? Because, there's a lot of people, this is a very touchy subject. For some people, they won't. For some people, they will. Even Stacy, I always go back to Stacy. Stacy's ex-husband didn't want the kids on the show, and I think it was an excellent choice. But Darcy, on the other hand, she did feature her girls on the show. And I don't know if that had a positive impact on them or not.
I mean,
right? Because we know about...
Judging by what happened now, I would say no.
Well, yeah, we know about the OnlyFans scandal with Darcy's daughter. So, I don't know if putting your children on TV is a good idea, especially when you're going into a throuple situation where you're adding a stripper. Oh, first of all, no shade towards strippers. First of all, there's nothing wrong with that occupation, but you're including your kids into this scenario, and being a kid and being on TV and dealing with, because when you're an adult, being on reality TV is considered cool, trendy, you're building popularity and fame. But when you're a child and you go to school, other children don't find it cool that you're on TV. They're gonna find ways to destroy you because you're on TV. And I think a lot of times parents, they don't realize what they're putting their kids through, because your kid who might be in 4th, 5th, or 6th grade, their friends don't think it's cool that you're on TV.
Yeah.
Their friends are going to find a way to bully you and make you feel like crap. So I don't know how I feel about them featuring their kids on the show. I think that it's safer, because even Jasmine tried her hardest to keep her kids off the show. She put Fiance on the show, I think, once.
She tried so hard to keep them off the show. She moved to another country and left them behind.
And is now having a new family. Like, Jasmine is kind of doing what men do. When a relationship doesn't work, you just get remarried and have new kids and forget about the old one. What's up with women taking on that role now? Because women have such a more deeper emotional attachment to their children than men do. So it's kind of crazy when we see this happen, because, hey, TJ, because mothers usually will end someone over their children. So the idea that women are now, right? Like, they're taking this stance of, well, yeah, if the passport isn't ready or the visa is not ready, I'll just leave without them. That wasn't a thing. And this is actually happening with Mina and Mark and her son Clayton. And it was really sad for me watching him when he was like sad and asking, because we don't really ever get to see this part of it, right? Like, we don't know how Jasmine's kids feel. We don't know how Larissa's kids feel. I assume it's the same way, but we never saw it. So watching it, it made it real for me. Because I was like, this child, and Mark was like, hey, man, are you good? And I'm like, are you good? You stole his mother away from him. He's 9.
Yeah.
How do you think he feels, right? Like, and I really felt you know, I was kind of angry towards him because I was like, yeah, I know you love her and I know y'all have a baby together, but look at, you uprooted his life. He's now living with some random stranger, and now you have his mother in your house. And it's like, it's crazy how adults can be so selfish, right? Because that's such a selfish thing to do to a 9-year-old child.
It is so selfish, and it just infuriates the shit out of me. With Matt and Amani, it makes me mad because for so many reasons. But we all know that even if you make a quick guest appearance in the background, TLC pays you.
Yeah.
So these kids get money in a trust.
Right.
That gets released to them when they're 18. So it's all about money for these parents that actually show the kids. I mean, it's probably about money for the ones that don't show their kids, but either way.
So it's all you brought up money. Did you hear about the fact that Matt and Amani were on a show called How to Be Rich on Netflix?
Yep.
So how do you feel about this is their second go at reality TV?
It just, I literally don't even want to watch these people because it pisses me off so much. I saw them. Did you see them on TMZ last week?
Yeah, I saw the TMZ interviews as well. I did. And I think TLC is setting this stuff up. You know, they're trying to make the show more mainstream.
Yep.
It, you know, like, because TMZ is the most mainstream news you're going to get. You're going to get news from every aspect, sports, TV, music, whatever. I understand that. But I think that casting people that just want to be famous is not the recipe of why this reality TV show franchise is so prosperous, right, and so popular. And I think going away, like if you go to a restaurant and they've been using the same recipe for 40 years, and then you go there and they change the recipe, you might not want to eat there anymore.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what they're playing with the recipe of the show. They're like, oh, well, we don't have to necessarily get real people. We can get, you know, social media influencers to be on the show, and they have a whole bunch of followers. Yeah. So they're going to make our show more popular, but you're actually not doing that. You're making the show worse, because watching scenes with Sarper and Shekinah is like torture. I don't know what it feels like to be tortured, but I feel like watching them on TV, it's like someone torturing me. You know what? I call it waterboarding on X, and I was like, it's like I'm being waterboarded. I'm being forced against my will to follow along a storyline that I don't care about. Yeah. And they're two the most unlikable people, I agree, that you can put on my screen, yeah, right? Like, there's nothing that I can find that I like about either of them.
Yeah, I agree completely. So on the TMZ interview, it was just Matt and Amani. They didn't have Annie with him yet. But also, Annie has 3 freaking kids. One's an adult, whatever. He can do what he wants. I'm sure he's probably got his head in the sand because nobody wants to see this shit, first of all. But so is this, you can't tell me that if this was legit, they're actually going to get a divorce and move her and her kids. They're going to get the visa. Like, nobody's moving these kids to the United States. They're just taking the mom and calling it a wrap. Like, I'm so pissed off over this. I can't even.
Well, how would that process work, right? Because having one child is one thing, or 2 children. And then again, these kids that she have all have different fathers.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, this is Mexico. I don't know how it works, but I know in the US, you can't just take a child and move it across country lines without permission of unless the father didn't sign the birth certificate, or there's no link to then the mother has sole discretion to do that. But not a lot of fathers will sign away their rights. They might be deadbeats, but they still have rights if they wanted them. So I was wondering that too. I was like, how are you going to manage to bring these little small children over here? Because even if the dad hates you, barely pays child support, he still will probably give you hell if you try to take them to another country. Right.
Yeah. And also the dad's probably like, okay, first of all, you just showed that you're a stripper on, you know, TV. And then you're going to uproot my kid and move her in with another couple. So what if they don't want their children raised? I mean, I personally would be pissed if my kid got raised in a throuple situation. Like, I have no respect for these people.
See, I'm all for people exercising their right to do what they want, but I do think when you're bringing kids into it, because kids are very fragile, and what they see shapes who they are, and it stays with them for a long time. So a young child seeing a throuple, even though I don't judge, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, I still think that a child doesn't have the mindset to understand what that is. You know, and I think children watching because it's been proven that a child going through a divorce with their parents at a young age, it affects them for up to 15 years. So think about going through a throuple, and throuples typically don't work out. So think that this child is accepting a second mother, accepting these type of living conditions with two parents and this weird lifestyle, because they had like a little dungeon in their house. God forbid that child finds the dungeon and has questions. This is all things that they have to try to understand. And then let's say one day the throuple doesn't work out, and now her mom is now kicked out of the house. You know, and I'm thinking
in a
of all
country,
and
no family,
never can see her again, and the mom probably don't want to speak to you anymore because it didn't work out. I just think there's a lot of collateral damage when it comes to these relationships, and I think everybody has the right to be happy in whatever way, shape, or form. If it's legal and nobody is getting hurt, you have that right. But when you have kids, you know, you have to think about the kids before you think about how many people you want to have sex with every night, right? Like, I think that they're losing sight of being a good parent, because when you have kids, you're a parent first. Your existence comes second, and I think a lot of times people forget that.
See, and I don't have anything against, like, if they want to do a throuple, if they want to have 15 of them, I don't give a shit. But when you go on one show and it doesn't work out the way you want it, so you create your own narrative, you make up your own story to get on another show and then bring your kids in, that's where I lose respect. Like, these are not real people as far as I'm concerned. None of this relationship is real. Saw him on TMZ, and this was filmed over a year ago, so we know that what's-her-face isn't even here yet. So
she's not. If she even makes it here. Oh, so Shake says international law in Mexico, the mother has automatic custody. That's good. I actually agree with that law. Sometimes, you know, and if the dad wants to see the children, he can go to court and figure that out. I mean, I don't like when they take custody away from the mom sometimes, because I feel like children need their mother more. I know that's weird. I was raised by only by my mother and sister, so I feel like I benefited more having my mother than I would have had my dad. I don't know if that's true. That's just how I feel.
Yeah.
Wait, what does this say? April. Oh, April is talking about Sean and Aaliyah. They haven't premiered yet this season, but she's talking about Aaliyah, who started out. What was Aaliyah's name? I can't remember what her name was when she identified as a male. But her and Sean were dating when she identified as a male, and now she has gone. I don't think she's had the full surgery yet, as far as we know, unless it happened in the year or so time since we've seen them on the show. But yeah, she's transitioning from man to woman, and Sean, who is gay, is what he told us, is now going to be in a relationship with a woman.
Yes.
Well, Douglas, that's what it was. So yeah, this is going to be a really interesting story too. No kids involved in this. Yeah. Sean has adult children, which is much better to try to process.
Sean, I think, has grandchildren. He's like,
there's grandkids. He's I think it's a 30-something year age difference.
I think it's a lot.
Yeah, between Sean and, I think Aaliyah's only 24 years old.
Yeah.
And Sean is like in his 60s, I believe.
I thought he was in his 70s, but I could be wrong.
I don't think it's 70. I mean, you could be right. He doesn't look that old, but there's a lot of people who look really great for their age.
I feel like he was in his 70s because the age gap was almost 10 years more than Kenny and Armando, if I remember right.
Yeah, and wasn't it bigger than Jenny and Sumit as well? I thought it was the biggest. It was one of the bigger age gaps. Yeah,
it is.
Well, April says they need to join the circus. I mean, it seems like the show has gone off the deep end, right? We used to just get couples that were in strange relationships, and we were just following along. Didn't we look up his age? We did on the other podcast. I can't remember what it was. I thought it was 66, but I'm not sure. I mean, he looks good for his age. I think Shabuti calls him the Burger King guy. You know,
that's what I've called him.
Yeah. Oh, 61 and 25. Okay, so he's not as old as I thought he was. So, but yeah, the age difference is huge. I think that's going to be an interesting storyline to follow along, because not only the age difference, but him going from being gay with a man named Douglas to being in a relationship with a woman named Aaliyah. I didn't even know that happened, because if a woman is a lesbian, there's no option of being with a man because she's not interested. And usually if a man is gay, there's no option of being with a woman because they're not interested. So I want to watch and see how they're going to navigate, you know, changing the gender of the person that you're in a relationship with. He looks like he's wearing a Botox filter mask. He does, but you know, that's also what Sarper looks like, right? It looks like he's wearing a Botox filter mask in real life. So you have to remember, he's a celebrity makeup artist. So, you know, he's going to have all types of work done. So he's not going to look his age because it's literally his job to make sure that people don't look their age. So that's exactly what he's doing.
Well, apparently I didn't note down his age back when they were on.
I think, yeah, I guess they said he was 60 back on Love in Paradise.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a
60's not old to me, though.
It's not.
Like,
60's old if you're going to be with somebody in their early 20s, though. That's
yes, you're right. Yeah, 60. Because if someone passes away in their 60s, that's super young for me. But if you're dating a 24-year-old and you're in your 60s, you're right. It's a strange pairing because what does a 61-year-old and a 25-year-old have in common?
Literally,
like
nothing.
What would she want to do that you would want to do? Because if I was in my 60s, I don't want to go to no loud clubs. I don't want to get drunk. Yeah. There's only a certain amount of things that I want to do at that age. It's relaxing. And, you know, I don't want any loud music or craziness around me. So, and, you know, a 24-year-old, that's exactly what they're looking to do. They want to go out, party, get drunk, dance, loud music, and act. Gene Hackman. Especially that's a whole...
a new look. You're getting a new... Not only is she getting a new look, but she's moving to Los Angeles or moved to Los Angeles. One of the biggest, you know, towns for the new look. And then she's young. She's going to want to be out showing it off. Like, it's going to get old to him fast.
Well, and she's moving to Hollywood. Like, it doesn't get any more celebrity than that. So, yeah, she's not going to want to entertain a 60-something-year-old man for
Isn't he a celebrity hairdresser, too?
Yeah. So he's a celebrity hairdresser, so she's going to be around celebrities. Yeah, she's going to have the connections that she needs. So, my theory, she's going to find somebody her own age. Yeah. That's just my theory. I could be wrong. They could really love each other. But I think she's going to get over here. She's going to be set up for success. She's going to have the right people in front of her. And she's going to leave them for somebody that has just as much money, but is younger. She definitely understood the assignment. Yeah, she understood the assignment. She came in. He paid for her boobs. He's going to pay for the BBL she wants. He's going to pay for the bottom surgery. And then she's going to leave. She knows she's a very smart woman. She knew she roped in the right guy with the right amount of money, with the right amount of generosity, and she's going to get exactly what she wants out of it. Yeah, that Gene Hackman was 95 and his wife is 63. I never knew that until this tragedy happened. So that whole thing really shocked me too.
Are you watching the new Alec Baldwin show?
I am.
There's a huge age difference between him and his wife also.
See, I didn't realize that either. I don't think I knew how old Alec Baldwin was.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole Alec Baldwin show, and I don't want to sound rude, but they seem to be making this tragedy about them.
Absolutely.
And I know this was a horrible mistake. He didn't intend to do what happened. He didn't wake up one day premeditated, and this didn't happen that way. But the way that they're making the show like, well, this is what we're going through, this is how hard it is in my family, I was like, well, I keep thinking about the woman's children or child that doesn't have a mom now. You know, like, I understand that it's a tragedy in all directions, but I don't know, playing the victim in every situation rubs me the wrong way sometimes. Like, sometimes you should say, I'm sorry, what I did ruined everything, and just don't talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like, don't make it about you. Oh, April, the tragedy was there was a movie being filmed called Rust, and there was a prop gun that Alec Baldwin had in between scenes, and he pointed it at a woman and pulled the trigger, and unfortunately it had a real bullet in it instead of a blank, and the woman did not live.
Yeah.
So that tragedy happened, oh my gosh, almost 2 years ago, right? Or if not, yeah. And then the trial happened last year, and now the reality show, they're kind of the show was filmed right before the trial. But yeah, I don't know, it's rubbing me the wrong way, because I get that they're a victim in it, but you know, when you get to go to your house in the Hamptons and it's different from your house in Manhattan and it's different from your house in LA, it's like, yeah, this affected you, but your kids are going to be okay more so than the child that lost his mother at such a young age, you know? So it kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah. Also, while we're on the topic of new shows, I'm so excited for the show that's coming out, I think Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday. That Jay and Pamela.
What is it? Oh, is it the little people?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so excited for that.
I saw that. And you know, I never got into Little People Big World.
It's not like that though. This couple is totally different. Totally different. You have to watch it.
I mean, you know me, I'm gonna give everything a shot. I'm gonna watch the first episode. That's how I got into the Balin Out Loud.
Yeah, I love that.
At first sight, I was like, I'm not watching this because I don't want to laugh at this because it's not funny. But
It's
she has really opened.
hilarious.
Well, she's opened our eyes to what it's like, and she's made it okay to laugh, right? Because she's like, well, look, I can't control it. It's funny to me, and this is my life, and she made it okay for me to open up to it. Because at first I was like, no, if I watch it and I find it funny, then I'm gonna feel like I'm judging her. But she doesn't make me feel that way.
On TikTok for a lot of years, so I knew her personality going into it. So I love her. But this Jay and Pamela looks like it's gonna be such a good show.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for it. There's a lot of new stuff coming out that I'm happy about. Also, Juan and Jessica weren't on this week.
I know.
So
I'm so sad.
I wanted to see what was up with them, but I guess we're gonna be getting into Megan questioning Juan about this cruise ship thing that we kind of thought we left behind on the last season they were on what was it? Love in Paradise. Juan basically said he didn't cheat, but everybody felt like he was lying. I mean, I don't know. I felt like the way that he brushed off the situation rubbed me the wrong way. But even if he did cheat, they're pretty deep in the relationship. They're married. They have a kid. They live together. He's here. It's kind of too late to rehash that. Yeah. And I feel like even if he did cheat, Jessica's probably fully aware and they've moved forward. Yeah. So I think rehashing it is kind of pointless at that point. Yeah, and a lot of people are mad that TLC is capitalizing on the Baldwin thing. If y'all remember, and I know, Cara, you do, they started running advertisements for this show a year ago. And right before the trial, it was supposed to run concurrent with the trial, and then they changed their mind. And then they put it off for a full year because they were worried about the backlash that they were going to get running the Alec Baldwin documentary show while the trial was going on. So they actually were going to do it last year, and somebody with good sense was like, we shouldn't be wrapped up in this situation because we don't know how it's going to go. Oh yeah, Shelly, Lauren did do a live. We learned that Lauren is engaged to someone else, and he broke up with Faith on the 18th of February, and he's engaged to a new woman from the Philippines. In the Philippines. So he moves very, very quickly. I don't know if he's going to be filming again. I've heard two different things. So
I hope not. I hope not. There's been so many times I was just going to stop watching this shit show altogether over somebody I couldn't stand. And I think Lauren might be it.
Lauren, I mean, he's enough mess, crazy drama to keep you interested, but I don't know. He might be too much. Like, you know how Scott was fun at first? Yeah. And then he got to be too much? I think Lauren might be getting to that point where it's just too much. Like, you can be crazy and unpredictable and wild, but you have to draw the line at some point. And I think Lauren is blurring the line of entertaining and just a carnival circus. Yeah. And and with Scott, at first Scott was funny. Everybody thought his posts were outrageous, and he was making headlines. And now people are just like, I can't with Scott, right? Like, I just can't with this guy. Please help me get him off my screen.
He deleted his social media again.
Well, after Scott posted a GoFundMe for $30,000, $30,000, he immediately deleted his social media, and the GoFundMe, I think, was taken down. I don't know if it was taken down or he deleted it. I don't know the origination, but it's gone. But he asked for 30 grand, and I guess he sent a DM to someone and said that it wasn't all for medical bills. It was some money was going to defamation of character lawsuits. And I think that's where, the public was upset because he made it seem like it was for his mother, who's actually going into hospice. Yeah. And, and it's like, don't pull on our heartstrings if you're not being honest, because, we all love his mother. Yeah. His mother was the sweetest lady. If you didn't see her on the show, she was the sweetest, kindest lady. And I think he told me she smoked since she was 14. And even when she got sick, she was like, I'm not going to stop smoking, So I know she's going through a lot. So when people were like, oh, well, you made it seem like you needed money. Yeah, his Instagram is gone, April. You made it seem like you needed money for mom, but you didn't. That's a problem, right? Like, because we would definitely help mom. Nobody wants to help him. Right. But if mom needed the help, she would probably get the help because we don't. I would, I loved her on the show. She was kind. She was sweet. She reminded me of me when I'm old. I'm gonna be stubborn and I'm gonna do what I want to do. You know, so and that's exactly who I see in his mom.
Me too. We're gonna be cruising through Disney World on our little power scooters together.
Yeah, telling the stupid little kids to get out of the way.
Yep.
It's gonna be us.
Move your crotch, goblins.
Before we get into this Greg stuff, so there's a thing with Josh going around. So last year, unfortunately, his son Jet and his friend were in a horrible accident. This was right around the time. Yeah, his mom is in Florida. She's, I believe, in not Naples, somewhere down towards the south on the opposite side of Miami. Well, so what happened was during the filming, right around that time is when Jet and his brother or his friend were in an accident, a fatal accident. And the thing going around is that Josh posted a GoFundMe around that time that collected $35,000. So a lot of people are upset because, you know, as we've been watching him on The Single Life, we've been watching him on The Last Resort, he's been boasting and showing off very expensive cars. Mm-hmm. And talking about things that he's done. And people were pulling up posts where he was courtside at games. And they're thinking, why would you need money for a GoFundMe when you can afford a car that costs almost $500,000? So people are really trying to piece this together because they're like, well, is he really rich? Is it a front? Or did he take the money and he didn't need it? Because y'all know I have no issue with people asking for money because we all go through hard times. But I have a huge issue with the people that take money when they don't need it. If you don't need it, that bothers me because, you know, there's times where people are really struggling and you should help them. And then there are times where people are being taken advantage of. And, you know, if you can afford courtside seats to games and you can afford $500,000 cars, if something happens to your son, that shouldn't be like, it shouldn't even be an issue to even think about money because that's your son. I would sell the car. Like whatever I needed to do to make sure that my son would be okay, I would do. So a lot of people are really upset. And again, this is a year-old story, right? This happened over a year ago. So Josh hasn't really spoken out about it. But as far as I know, someone told me indirectly that he didn't start the GoFundMe. It was started by a friend of mine. But when I asked if he collected the money from the GoFundMe, the answer was yes.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, if he didn't start it and he didn't accept the money, no harm, no foul. I have an issue with the person who started it.
Yeah.
But if he wanted nothing to do with it, he's like, I don't need it. I won't take it. That's one thing. Wait, donations better not have paid Natalie's rent. Well, that's what people are wondering, right? Because he bought Natalie a car. He's paying Natalie's rent, Natalie and her mom. So we're
Los Angeles, like the rent there is absurd.
Well, and where she was on the water.
Yeah.
So it really does make you wonder, you know, why would you open a GoFundMe and what did you use the money for?
Yeah.
And he may never answer that question, but I think silence says a lot in this situation, right? If he doesn't say anything, I think maybe our questions are answered.
Yep.
And all, you know, so this is what's going around. A lot of people are upset, but there's been GoFundMe after GoFundMe after GoFundMe lately. And, you know, I think it's getting a little out of control. I don't think that as fans of the show, you should be required to maintain the lifestyle of the cast members. If there's, like I said, if there's a medical emergency, life and death, or, you know, in Michael's situation, he really needed to get into a better living situation. There needs to be a dire need.
See, and for me, it's like, as far as helping cast members, I'm all down for helping Niles and Matilda. I'm down for helping David and Sheila. Like, those people would appreciate it. You know, they're literally scraping by. But then you get people, these showboats out there that act like, you know, they're so rich and wealthy, and then they do that shit. Just like Mary and Brandon using cancer. You don't get to use cancer and then be like, oh, just kidding. It wasn't.
I really dislike the direction that we're going with these GoFundMes. Wait, I think the fact that he agreed to film the show while his son was in the hospital. Well, yeah, a lot of people feel the same way, you know, because we noticed in the season he kept leaving. So he was going to see his son. But, you know, in my opinion, I would just say screw the show. There's more important things for me to be dealing with at this moment. You know, but that's me. You know, I would look at it as TV shows come and go. But if, let's say, if the worst possible scenario, it didn't go well and his son didn't leave the hospital, it would.
His son lost a whole leg.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, like it would really bother me for the rest of my life knowing that the last amount of time I could have spent with someone, I was filming a TV show. That was
yeah,
my priority, right? And I think, and I know obviously his son is okay. He lost his leg, but you know, going through something as traumatic as that, I think that his parents should have never left his side. Like
yeah,
the fact that he found time to go back to the resort, that's questionable for me. I wouldn't have been able to find the time. Wait, the fact that he admitted on the Sarah Fraser show that he didn't want his son's leg amputated, even though it was a life-saving option. I mean, I can't. You don't want anything like that to ever happen to your child. Like
right.
if your first choice is they keep all their limbs and they're perfectly fine for the rest of their lives. That's any parent's first wish.
Yeah.
So I don't disagree with that statement. I mean, I would have asked for any other option, right? But when I found out there wasn't any other option, then you do what's best for your child. And so I don't disagree with him saying that. Rob and Sophie aren't together. That's correct, April. Rob and Sophie are not together. Rob is actually going to be on a new show called the 90 Day Single Resort in Mexico, where he will be hooking up with. I don't want to tell you who he's going to be hooking up with. I'll leave that
There's
out there. But that show will.
literally only one couple on the last resort that are actually still together.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't get a pedicure because I don't want to leave my baby.
I don't.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of moms that are like that. You know, if they can't bring their baby with them, then they won't do it.
Yep.
Okay. So we're going to talk about, okay, of course, but they told him it was life-saving. Yeah, it was life-saving. All right, so let's talk about Greg and his mom. So Greg's mom is very adamant about, she used to date Jesse, Darcy's Jesse. So, you know, put the puzzle pieces together. So Greg's mom is very adamant about him having sex in her house. And, you know, she's to the point where she told him that she wants Joan to sleep in a separate room. First of all, Joan is beautiful and smart and educated. No offense to Greg in any way, but what does she want with Greg?
So much offense to Greg.
Like,
because
what?
Get the hell out of your mom's house, you pansy ass mama's boy.
What is the deal with this? Because she had a good job, she had a good life, you know, which is not easy to do in Uganda, right? She really had to work hard. Josh is with. No. That's not who he's with. No, that's who Rob was messing around with at the resort house. But what I just don't understand why she would give up all of the accomplishments that she made in her home country to go move into Josh's mom or to Greg's mom's house. But what's even more questionable for me is why is Greg like he didn't clean up when she was coming and Rob is gonna be with, is it winter? No, it's not winter. No. It's April, it's not winter. I don't understand why he has such a failure to launch. Like, why is he has no real plan? And it's like, how are you going to bring another person into your life when your life doesn't really have any purpose right now? Like, how can you bring...
When you're picking the love of your life up from the airport and you compare it to the first bite of pizza, that says a lot about you.
Yes. He's very into, I get it. Is he Italian, I believe? He's Italian, so I understand food and cooking food and ingredients. That's a big part of their lives. But I don't know the best way to describe what I'm trying to say about him, but it's just he doesn't have any life goals, plans, or things that he wants to accomplish. Because he's like, I just hope that Joan is satisfied with the life she gets here. And I was like, well, what's the life? You can't afford to do anything with her. It's like you just want her to move in and be broke with you. And I don't know any woman that's willing to give up success and education and goals to be with a man and just exist with this man. Like, you have to
in his mom's freaking house. In his mom's house. While he can't wait to teach her to... He didn't even bring her flowers. He brought her bread. For crying out loud, this mama's boy. I cannot.
Which also, can we talk about his food handling skills?
New York must have very different laws than we do. Why
doesn't he ever handle food properly? Every time I'm watching him and he's like, and he's bringing bread, and he's like, why can't you? And the first episode is what really got me, when he was delivering bread to people and touching the bread. Yeah. And I was like, where's your gloves? Where's the proper? Because when you go to the grocery store, you can buy fresh bread. It's completely wrapped.
I mean,
in plastic.
Real. I wouldn't touch the steering wheel after this man. So I'm sure as hell not going to eat bread after this guy.
He was dripping sweat into the dough, and it was a lot for me. And I don't want to be mean, but I think Joan is beautiful and I think she's smart. And I just question what she wants with him and why she's here. And it makes me wonder, you know, does she want to be here to improve her life? And if so, you know, that might be what she's doing, because I haven't been able to come up with a different reason as to why
good
she
on her.
Well, yeah, I feel like if she wants to come over here and change her life, she should do that, because he's been here his whole life and he hasn't changed one thing about his life. Yep. Well, he has, but nothing for the greater good. I feel like he has no real goals. And I hate to be like this, but his mom is the enabler in this situation.
Yeah.
Because if I was 37, not working, not doing that, my mom would make my life a living hell.
Yeah.
Right? She would make my life. My mom had me working at 15, and I had to maintain A's and B's in school while working 30-something hours a week. If I wanted my license, I had to maintain a certain amount of job grades. I had to pay my own insurance. I had to, like, and I wasn't even 18 yet.
Yeah.
And then when I turned 18, I had to start paying rent. So I was like, if I'm paying you rent, I'm just going to get my own place, because you still telling me what to do. So the fact that he's still there at 37, Mom, it's on you, because you've made it easy for him to not do anything. And I hated my mom growing up, but I appreciate her tough love now, because she set me up to know nobody's going to do anything for you until you go out and do something for yourself. And he doesn't understand that, because in the next episode, did you see in the preview, he said to Joan that he turned down a state job. Did you hear that? Yeah. And I can't imagine what will possess a man who's going to get married in 90 days and has nowhere to live and nothing going on to turn down a job. I mean, even if it was at McDonald's, that's more than you're doing right now, delivering bread with your bare hands in a Walmart crate. You know, like, what would possess you to turn down a job when you're in the situation that you're in now?
But also, what part of the state of New York said, God, I want this guy on my team?
I would assume the BMV, maybe. He has the work ethic of a BMV person, right? Or maybe the post office.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, I have family members that work at the post office, and they have no work ethic at all.
I don't know.
Right?
One of my very good friends, she's actually the one that was killed in December. She was a postmaster general, and she worked her ass off, and she had one leg.
What? Really?
Yep.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong.
Hardest working woman I've ever known.
There's a lot of hardworking mail carriers and postmasters, but my family members worked in, like, where you buy the stamps and you drop off the.
I mean, like, I can see him probably doing that.
Well, he's not, because he turned it down. Because he's not interested in working nowhere. And you know, that's also Mom's fault. You know, if he was raised to value work, value having your own. You know, God bless the child that has his own. God doesn't bless the child that lives with his mommy. Yep. You know, but it's his fault. And I don't know what his dad's situation is or why him and his mom are so codependent on each other. Because, you know, it could have been that the dad passed away early in life, or he left the family early in life, and she became as codependent with him as he is with her.
I think that's probably it, honestly.
Right. And now they're enabling each other.
Yeah.
You know, because the conversation that he had with his mom about intimacy would have been enough for me to move out.
Yeah.
That would have been so uncomfortable for me. Like, my mom and I, we didn't talk about that type of stuff. And if we did, it was because that conversation had to take place, and I never wanted to. We didn't speak to each other for hours after that, because it was very uncomfortable. So the fact that he's talking about sex and intimacy with his mom so much, and that would be enough for me to just move out. Like, if we have to.
Her response, Joan says, "You talk about intimacy with your parents?" Same
response.
Yeah.
That was not something that I ever wanted to talk about with my mom. And if I ever brought a girl home, I made sure my mom was nowhere near the house. Nowhere near. She wasn't going to be home. She wasn't going to catch me. Like, that is a conversation I avoided like the plague.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I didn't want to have that conversation. And, you know, we were very religious, so it would have been a whole thing. So that conversation with his mom alone, I would have been like, you know what? I'm just going to move out. Because if this is going to be a conversation that's going to be ongoing, I can't be here, because I can't talk about that with you. You know, like, I can talk about lots of things with my mom, but that's just a situation for me. That would have been the turning point where I was like, I gotta get out of here. And the fact that it doesn't bother him, and he's like open to having the conversation continually. I was like, he's really enabled to the point where, you know what he reminds me of? You know, the people who are waiting for their parents to pass away so they can inherit the house? That's what he reminds me of. He has no interest in getting his own place, getting an apartment, getting a job. He's just waiting for her to go so he can inherit. And, you know, I hate that because in her age, he should be taking care of her. It shouldn't be the other way around. And it's like she's spending her later years raising a 40-year-old man.
I hate to say
it's not fair.
Scott's doing the same damn thing.
You're not wrong. You know, you're not wrong. He did buy a house, but that's long gone. You know, and now he doesn't have anything. Yeah, and I don't like the people that take advantage of a good parent. Like a good parent will do anything for you, but it shouldn't ever come to that.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have the expectation that they should do everything for you or house you or feed you, you know, because that's taking advantage. My mom would literally, if I needed anything, she would give me her last $20, but I don't want her last $20. And a lot of kids don't see it that way. They're like, well, if you got it, give it to me. I'm more like, if you have it, keep it. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But everyone isn't like that.
Absolutely. It's sad. It's so sad.
Religion trauma is real. Tell me about it, Donna. Tell me about it. I'm still dealing with that cult stuff to this day. She was mowing the lawn and he was laying on the bed. Yeah, I noticed the scene too. Yep. And she was doing his laundry and I was just like, I can't. First of all, my mom would never. I think my mom has touched the lawnmower 0 times in her life because she had a husband at one point and 2 sons. I don't even think my mom knows how to start a lawnmower because there is no chance in hell we would allow her to touch it. Because that's just how, you know, when you're a boy and there's no dad around, you're going to do anything that's considered hard labor so your mother doesn't have to deal with that. She didn't do yard work. She didn't have to clean anything. She didn't have to unload the dishwasher. Like, my mom was a queen of the house.
Yeah.
You know, we did everything. So when I watch her mowing the lawn and doing his laundry and cooking his food, I'm like, my mom would just kick me out. Like, she would, it's not even a, she was like, you got to get out of my house. If I got to clean up after you and do my own lawn, you can't even be here.
Yeah. It's sad. It's so disgusting to me. Also, you know, she's the one that co-signed that visa for her to come over.
Yeah. That conversation was coming up on X tonight too, because they were like, this man don't have 1 ounce of steady income. So he done conned his mother into co-sign. Not only he's conned his mother into living with her his whole life, now he's conned her into signing this financial sponsorship paperwork, because there's no other way they would let him bring somebody over here on a K1, because he has absolutely no way to take care of her. She has no way of taking care of herself for up to 2 years. So you know that mom is going to be stuck with whatever bills that they incur. Because let's say she is with him for the green card and she leaves. Mom is going to be stuck with his bad decision. And I hate to be mean, but it's kind of her fault. Yeah. Because if I would have asked my mom to do that, she would have been like, oh, I love you so much, but no. Right? Because my mom is not an idiot. You know, she knows what's right and what's wrong. And she's like, if you want it that bad, get a job and make it happen. You know, like my mom taught me, if you want it, you make it happen.
I can't imagine asking my parents for something like that. That's just, that is so mind-blowing. But I also can't imagine my kids asking me something like that.
Well, right. You should be raised to the point where first of all, I would be embarrassed to ask my mom that. Not only would I be embarrassed, but I would be scared of what she would say, because my mom is a very forward, straight person, straight shooter. You know, so she would be like, well, that sounds stupid, or I'm not, you know, I would be afraid of what she would say. And I don't want to be judged. Oh, it's Tiffany's Tiffany's dad co-signed for Ronald. Luckily, Ronald never made it over here. Yeah. Because of his wasn't it something to do with his gambling, right? His record of gambling. They wouldn't approve Ronald's visa. And then she tried to move over there. And then the realtor told her to just scream really loud if someone was robbing her. Remember that? You remember this? Yeah. She was like, because Tiffany's like, how safe is this area? She's like, oh, you have neighbors. So if someone's robbing you, you just scream and they'll call 911. And Tiffany was like, yeah, I'm getting my stuff and my kids and I'm going back to Maryland. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. And my mom would hurt my feelings. Yeah. My mom is a very tough love person. She trained me to be smart. And anytime I go against that rule, I might hear some things that are not easy to hear, because my mom will tell me when I'm doing something stupid. She's very, very open with telling me.
if my kids were doing something stupid, I'd be like, sit your damn ass down. We got to have a chat. And they
My mom
would.
had a horrible accident. Oh, I'm so sorry. She said her mom had an accident a year and a half ago, and you take care of her. See, that's what a good child does, right? You shouldn't be your mom should be taken care of by you. It shouldn't be the other way around.
Absolutely.
And, you know, what worries me is what happens to Greg after his mom is gone. Yep. Because he has become so dependent for everything. He has literally nothing to show for it in his 37 years. If she was to leave this country, world, planet, whatever you want to call it, who's going to take care of him? Because he's incapable of taking care of himself. Also, Mark is kind of incapable of taking care of himself too. He took Mina to a corner store gas station to buy groceries. Yeah. And my first question, Cara, was, because I know you live, you know, kind of out in the boonies. Mm-hmm. How far is a Walmart from you?
27 miles.
So it's about a 30, 40-minute drive.
But if I had a plane, I could get there right quick.
A plane? This is true. You can, when you fly.
He's got a freaking plane.
He does have a plane. So even if a Walmart is far away, you just fly there.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean.
So the second closest Walmart to me, so there's one 27 miles away, and then there's one 60 miles away. And the one that's 60 miles away is literally a block away from an airport. So.
Oh. Do you have to pay? That was another question. Do you have to pay to land your plane at an airport? Like, is it like because when you go to the airport, you can leave your car there for a fee. What happens?
Most people that have like little planes have a hangar at the local airports. Like the closest, say, five airports that they fly to the most, they'll buy a hangar, which is like a garage.
So it's like your spot. So like with a boat, like you buy your spot and then your boat gets to stay there. Oh, that makes sense. Because that's another thing that crossed my mind. Because I was like, you're always at a different place. How do you? Because you have to leave your plane with you, you know. So I was like, where do you store it? Because I was at the airport recently. I just paid the fee and I left my car there. Just easier for me to do.
I worked for somebody that owned 3 small planes, and he had a bunch of hangars all over the place where he would just store his plane. Like if he wanted to go to lunch, 300 miles away, they'd just fly over to Red Lobster and have lunch and then fly home.
Well, that's the life.
Yeah.
I would love to do that.
He's dead now. He got murdered.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
He was a dick, though. He was a dick to work for, so I'm not even surprised.
Oh. Okay. That took a turn. Okay, so.
I think he was doing bad things with his plane, honestly. I think he was doing bad stuff from Mexico to here, but I don't know for sure. But all of a sudden, he ends up shot dead in his driveway.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
But so, I don't know. Nothing's confirmed yet.
Did this just happen?
Like last year.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, Shake says he knew his baby was coming. Why didn't he order things? Okay, so his last time raising a kid was probably 25 years ago? Because I think he said Jordan is 27. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, right? I think anybody knows, because I've been to enough baby showers or I bought enough items for baby showers to know diapers.
Yeah.
If you don't buy nothing, you just buy boxes and boxes and boxes of diapers, because that's literally all that and formula.
Yep.
But those are literally, you can't go wrong. So he didn't buy anything. He didn't prepare. But, at his age, I think he's one of those men that has to be told by a woman what he should be doing before he does it.
Absolutely.
Do you get that? That's the vibe that I get from him. I feel like he can't really do things on his own. Because I was like, how did he survive for the last, I think he said he's been single for 5 to 7 years. How did he survive with no woman feeding him and cooking him, or feeding him and cooking for him and housing him and telling him what to do? Because I feel like he is like a 58-year-old bachelor, right? Like he really has.
Nice. His house looked clean. He had decent furniture. His fridge and cupboards were sad. But he strikes me, again, as, he's got a plane. So he strikes me as the kind of person that either plays golf all day and just eats at the country club, or literally just flies to where he needs to go. So this was a spur of the moment thing, obviously, because did you catch the part where he looked at the baby and he said, we're going to go change your heavy diaper because, sorry, Dad didn't have any diapers. So that means they had to get to the store really freaking quick. If that baby's diaper was heavy, that is so sad.
I can't with him. And she said she wants to have another baby.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's ready because, you know, she's going to be the only one taking care of that baby because he's not ready to have any more kids. He's past that stage. And for some reason, he won't just be honest and say he's past that stage. But I mean, a lot of men look at it as babies aren't my problem.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who tell me that their husbands are like, oh, yeah, I have to take the baby to everywhere. Like the husband, when he gets off of work, the baby is not his problem. It's always going to be your problem. And I don't know why women marry men like that, because the baby is both of your problem. First of all, babies aren't problems. But when you have a baby, both of your responsibility, right? Like if one of you is at home on the couch laying down and the baby is screaming, it's not always the mom's responsibility to go pick up the baby. And I think a lot of men, they think like, oh, well, that's a woman's job, you know, to take care of the kid, and I go out and make money. And it's like, you still got to help raise the kid.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, you don't just get to have it and then, you know, say good job junior every couple weeks and not pat it on the head. You know, you have to actually help raise the kid. Right.
Right. It's so sad to me. I mean, the fact that he didn't have any diapers, he didn't have shit for that baby. There's no finger foods. There's nothing, no toys, no bed, no nothing.
She fed Maria some undercooked bacon and sausage, which was all they had. Because I was like, is she old enough to be eating it? I don't know enough about kids to know. But I know that you got to have teeth. And I think she has teeth, right?
Yeah, she has teeth.
But, okay, good. I was like, is she even supposed to be eating that? Because I was like, it's probably whatever he had in there. And which it probably isn't much.
And it probably expired a long time ago.
Yeah, because he's never there. He's flying around. Shake says this man needed to find himself a nice old woman who didn't want kids. He did. But I think he's one of those men that are not attracted to women his age. There's plenty of men that are like that. That's why they go out and they get a good job and they know that they have to pay for it. They can get a nice younger woman, but it's gonna cost them and they're okay with it. And I think he's one of those men. He's okay. He knows that he's not gonna get what he wants, and she has her own job and her own money and he knows that he's got to provide everything, but I think he's accepted that because he's getting what he wants in the end. Yeah,
I agree.
Well, yeah, you're right, Pineapple. That's not the case for all dads. There's a lot of very hands-on dads. Like Matt this season is a stay-at-home dad, very hands-on. And Amani goes out and works and brings in the money. So yeah, there are lots of dads that take full responsibility for their kids, you know, and not just financially.
My son's literally the most amazing dad, and I'm so proud.
But
he's doing such a good
that's
job.
because of you. Because I mean, let's be real. That's because of you. To be a good dad, because a lot of people are like, oh, you know, I didn't have a dad in my life, so I won't be a good dad. That's a bullshit statement. If you were raised by a good mother, a mother can teach you how to be a good parent, period. Yeah. And it's what you see in the house, because I had no dad growing up. My dad left my mom when I was 3. Yeah. I had absolutely no dad ever. And then whenever we had visitation, he was a sheriff. What do you call it? Chief of police. He was literally never home. Yeah. So I knew of him. Yeah. You know, I could probably pick him out in a picture lineup. I knew who he was, but that was basically it. But how you're taught to be a good person, that doesn't need to come from a male or a female. It just needs to come from a good person.
Yeah, so I agree.
You being a good mom, that's how he ended up being a good dad.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. But I'm very proud of him. I am very proud of him.
When the alarm went off on the TV, I thought it was my alarm. Yeah, every time I hear that beeping sound, it hits me in the gut. I hate that sound in the morning. My brother, and when my nephews were babies, he would come home from work. Aww. See, yeah, there's a lot of good dads out there, you know? Yeah. I hate to put, because some dads, like for instance, my dad, he paid child support, so he thought he was dad of the year.
Right.
You know, like that was his responsibility. Because whenever I talk to him, he's like, I never missed a child support payment. I was like, yeah, but you missed everything else. You know, like you missed everything else. So that doesn't make you a good dad. I would have rather you missed every payment, but show the hell up. You know, like if you want to get my opinion, it would have been nice if you showed up to some stuff.
Right.
But you know, that's how everyone thinks.
Yeah. Also, on Greg and Joan, when the dog jumped up on the bed and she about came unglued, she would have a whole nervous breakdown in my house. I would let my dog take my truck if he needs to. Like,
well, she said in Uganda, dogs are like watchdogs, protectors. So they don't have the relate.
My dogs would eat your face off if he came in and tried to hurt me. But also, if my dog wanted to use my truck, I'd let him use it. Like, I love him that much.
Well, yeah, a lot of people build such strong relationships with their pets. So I guess over there, the pet is just a pet. Well, not even a pet, because I love pets. I guess it's just a protector for the yard, the house, the territory. So
Yeah.
I think that it's weird that she thinks that about when the dog licked her, she acted like something horrible happened. And I was like, when I go to close friends' houses and their dog licked me, I think it's cute because I love dogs.
Right.
So it's gonna be a different transition for her because in America, actually Mahdi saw it too because he said, you know, he saw people walking the dogs in New Orleans and he was like, in Iran, the dog can't leave your
Yeah.
house. And I was like, well, that's horrible for animals. Animals are meant to go outside every single day.
Yep.
So the idea that they're forcing people to keep dogs indoors, dogs are not indoor animals. They can live indoors, but they need to explore.
Yep.
So even if it's just in the backyard or going on a daily walk, it's probably inhumane for an animal to keep it locked up in a house 24/7. They're not meant to be locked up anywhere for 24/7. So that was crazy.
I just got 2 new puppies. I'll send you pictures.
You got new doggies?
2 of them.
So how many dogs are we talking now?
Well, I had to put my old man down last month in January, and that was really freaking hard for me. And then my daughter and her husband finally got their house, and they took her 2 dogs. So I was just down to 2.
Oh,
so now I'm back. Now I'm back up to 4.
Okay, so 4 is the magic number. 4 is the magic number.
This week, we'll see how many puppies.
I mean, yeah, it depends on what dog needs rescue and when.
I had 7, so I still. But the puppies that I got are going to be gigantic.
Wait, what kind of dogs are these?
They are Saint Bernard, Great Pyrenees, Anatolian Shepherd mix.
Okay, so how big do they get?
Well, they're 10 weeks old and they weigh 22 pounds right now.
And that's not. So how big are they gonna get full grown?
Probably a couple 100 pounds.
Oh, that's like a horse. Yeah. That's too big for me. That's too big. If it can knock me down, it's too big for me. Like that's where I draw the line with dogs. If they jump up on you and you fall, it's too big.
Yeah.
Also,
I used to race Saint, so I'm very familiar with the breed and how they act. So I just have a soft spot for them.
Well, yeah, I understand. Shay says, does anyone think that Amani was performative in the car when she was talking about leaving her kids? Because there was no tears. Yeah. I mean, there were 2 scenes. There was 2 scenes today that I thought were very performative. Let's get into the performative scenes because I thought Amani in the car talking about it was hard to leave her kids for 2 weeks when this isn't their first time going over there. I thought that was very performative. And also, Shekinah was performing when she was worried about how her daughter felt about Sarper. Because remember when Shekinah's sister was on the show and Shekinah's sister didn't like Sarper, so Shekinah just stopped talking to her sister? Yeah. So I was like, now all of a sudden your daughter is important and you care about how she feels. After you've applied for and are approved for the K1, now you want her to love him. That's something that you should have figured out before you were bringing him over to the U.S. And he's going to live with you. Your daughter, you don't even let your daughter live with you. So he already seems like he's more important to you than your daughter. Yeah. And I was like, but now all of a sudden you're like, well, she has to love you or we can't get married. I was like, if you cared about what she thought, you wouldn't have a K1 visa because you would have gotten her blessing before any of this took place. You wouldn't have even moved to Turkey in the first place if she didn't like it. So I was like, stop performing for us tonight. We did not pay for a concert tonight. Like, don't give me this BS. Don't pretend like you even spoke to your daughter recently. Yeah. Right? So I'm assuming they're going to put her on this season. Because remember, she was on one episode the last time. And she seemed very smart. She seemed very smart, but she also told us she didn't care for Sarper, which who does? Right? Other than Shekinah and Sarper's parents, who does? None of us do. We can't.
So they were on TMZ as well. Like, this was the week of 90 Day Fiance for TMZ.
It was. 90 Day has been making a lot of strides into what do you call pop culture lately. Like, it's been so mixed between, it used to be its own little world, its own little, what do you call it, universe? Yeah. But now it's like spilling over into everything. It's on Entertainment Tonight. It's on TMZ. It's like, it's in the real world now. Yeah. And I don't know how I feel about it. I used to like it when it was our little fun place, but now like everybody knows about it. It's like the secret is out. So now 90 Day Fiance is everywhere.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. I don't want to share with the weirdos.
I know. This is our thing. And now I feel like people who, if you're just starting now, you're not a fan yet. You know, you got to you got to earn your stripes.
That's right.
We started 11 years ago, right? You can't just come in here and get your Boy Scout badge. We've been doing this. You know, like you got to start from the beginning. I know. You can't just come in here and sit at the table with us like you've been here the whole time, right? Like you got to watch. You need to just lock yourself in a cabin somewhere in the woods and watch them all, and then come talk to me, right?
Yeah. And even then, you still didn't actually earn it.
Well, no, you cheated. It's like you had the answers and you cheated when no one was looking.
Yeah.
Wait, Pineapple says, why am I liking Sarper lately? I think it's because he is unapologetically himself. Shekinah is
because he's still such a dick, but follows it with because I'm cute. So he actually thinks that that makes him a little bit more personable because he's acknowledging the fact that he's an asshole.
See, I think we like him more now because we met Adnan. And we see that it could be so much worse. Because, Sarper is not likable, but when I met Adnan on the show and I saw him and I was like, I could probably deal with Sarper, right? Like, even if we were at the same place and I had to sit near him, I might be okay. But if I was at the same place with Adnan, you know, they would need security.
Yeah,
I can't with that person. So I was like, for me, he became a little more tolerable.
Yeah.
Only because I saw Adnan and I saw the way that he acted at that tell-all. Yeah. And I was like, see, I can deal with Sarper. I don't like him, but I can deal with him. And he's tolerable. Back to
that he said about Shekinah, about controlling her and this and that and designing her, like ripping her freaking hair out and just all that. I just can't stomach this man. I just can't stand it.
I noticed that they left that out because they were going through some of the things he did wrong. You notice that today on the episode, they were like, oh, well, we didn't get along and we were fighting, and they did like a little flashback. They left out that part, which was so constructive of them. They're trying to act like it didn't happen when it did. And, you know, I'm still against that. I think if he did it and you aired it, you know, and you brought him back on the show, it means that you are condoning the behavior. Don't try to leave it out later because you would rather, no, this is what you're doing because you shouldn't have recasted him because it wasn't right. He put his hands on her and he took her phone. Those are two things that abusive people do to other people. And I don't want to continue following along a storyline of somebody who's like, well, let me rip your phone away from you so you can't call for help.
Yep.
That's like the scariest thing you can do to somebody. And she's in another country, by the way. She's in Turkey.
Also, in Oregon, it's against the law.
I mean, in most states now, that's a felony because you're taking away their line of escape. It's basically kidnapping that person.
It is.
They have no line of communication to escape. And you should be in jail. Between the penis story and you liking Sarper. Oh, they're talking about that. Okay. All right, so we're going to come back. I think we talked about everything that happened tonight, right? Oh, well, we talked about Mahdi a little bit. He's having second thoughts about staying in the U.S., but they haven't actually went home. They're in New Orleans, and she lives in a smaller part of Louisiana. So we have to see how that goes, but he's having second thoughts about staying in the U.S., which I don't know if y'all have been watching the news lately. So am I. Yeah. You know, so am I. I'm having second thoughts as well about staying in the U.S., so I totally understand him because it's not great. What's going on here right now, it's not great. You know, and it's not going to get better, right? Yeah. At the rate it's going, it's going to be worse. So I actually agree with him. I'm having second thoughts, and I've been looking at countries that have open borders with us, just in case. You know, just in case, right? You know, just as a backup plan in case I need to run. You know, just get out for a while. But we're going to come back tomorrow, and we're going to talk more about Josh's interview with Sarah Fraser and all the things that he said on the interview tomorrow for The Last Resort, because we run out of time tonight, but I feel like Last Resort's usually boring, so we'll have way more time to get into that Sarah Fraser interview that Josh did. He revealed a lot of pretty interesting stuff at that interview, and if you haven't listened to it yet, go listen to it so you'll know what's going on tomorrow, because, you know, he told us how he really felt about everybody, and there's going to be some craziness at the tell-all. I was told that this is the most dramatic and violent tell-all they've ever filmed, so take that how you want. But they said whatever disappointment you had in the season, you will feel it's made up for during this time.
I hope so, because boy, do I have a lot of disappointment in this season.
It is. It's the whole season was a bust. Wait, with who? Let's just say that. Well, the last time I went live, y'all knew most of it. So Jasmine launched a shoe at someone, and there was so many cast members that called Jasmine a word that starts with a W and ends with a E, and then another word that starts with an H and ends with an E, and you know things were very heated to the point where people were escorted off the filming area, you know, so things didn't get too much out of hand. So there's going to be a lot of crazy drama, which I feel like we deserve. We were forced to watch.
Absolutely.
17.
What I don't feel like we deserve is 3 freaking parts.
No.
Give it to me all at once. What? Do 3 hours all at once. I'll watch the whole thing.
Well, yeah. Make it a special. Just make it a 3-hour special and let us just sit through one night of it, or stream it. Make us stream it. I don't care what you do. But don't make me wait 3 weeks. You know, that's so ridiculous. I think it's crazy. Oh, no, not that word. I didn't say it. No, it didn't start with a C. H and a W. And they both end in E. I think you guys know what's going on with that. And Jasmine was kind of the target at this tell-all, if y'all didn't already figure that out. Because, you know, a lot of people on the cast are Team Gino. And she brought her new baby daddy to the tell-all to humiliate her husband, and a lot of people just weren't having it. Josh was one of them. Josh was like, you know what? You know, we all feel our certain ways about Josh, but Josh was like, I'm going to take a stand and say that you don't get to humiliate this man who did everything for you in front of the whole world. You know, that's not fair. You can not love him anymore, but you don't have to humiliate him, you know, to millions of people, you know?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll be back tomorrow for that. The Last Resort, I think we're on episode 14 tomorrow. Am I right? And then there'll be 2 more after that, or is it 15?
12 or something. I think it's 15.
Yeah, something like that. And then we'll get into the tell-all. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Make sure you're following Cara. I'm going to tag her in this video. Make sure you're following me on all social media platforms at George Mossey, georgemossey.com. Anywhere you get your podcast, type in the George Mossey Show. Anywhere you also stream music, it also pops up. Everybody have a wonderful night. Have a good week this week, and we'll talk to you all soon. Bye. Bye.